Hi, my name is Keith Hennessy and I'm a PhD candidate in Performance Studies. I'm also a co-instigator of the Unsettling Performance Studies reading group, and I'm addressing the Fishbowl gathering on February 3rd, 2014. Motivated by consistent patterns and unresolved problems confronting grad students of color, especially students of African descent, a group of grad students met in 2013, both with and without faculty involvement, to discuss structural racism as it manifests both within the Dramatic Arts MFA and within the Performance Studies PhD graduate group. We wrote a statement which was distributed to students and faculty, and then three of us, Sam Aronke, Dustin Drum, and I, collaborated on the 10-week reading group. So what happened? In fall 2012, an MFA student who had failed to graduate started an online petition on change.org claiming institutional racism in the Department of Theatre and Dance, in the Performance Studies grad group, at UC Davis, and in the UC system as a whole. It became impossible to deny that a pattern of racialized situations were resulting in students of African descent leaving the MFA or the PhD without graduating. Despite the uniqueness of every one of their situations, the continuity was obvious. In less than 5 years, 3 black male students, 2 African and 1 African American, did not complete the MFA, and a 4th black male student graduated with an MFA, but under extreme duress after being targeted in a racist incident that involved police, jail time, courts, and weeks of missed classes. These 4 students were the only black males in the MFA program during those years. Soon after, the only African American student in the Performance Studies PhD transferred to another school. Additionally, several non-white grad students have articulated that racially prejudiced actions are ongoing by either faculty, staff, in the syllabus of a class, or by other students in the classroom and during collaborative projects. These actions exist on a continuum of gratuitous violence, from the microaggressions in everyday interactions to a lack of support for research and even scholarly sabotage. When we met during winter quarter 2013, 1 year ago, we did not feel that we had the resources nor the mandate to investigate and resolve these particular incidents. Instead, we chose to focus on reimagining rigorous scholarship that challenged structural racism. We met, we wrote, we studied together, and we set out to decolonize the pervasive culture of whiteness that contextualizes our studies and the fields in which we're working. We tried to avoid being stuck in either a neoliberal erasure of difference nor a divisive politics or policing of identity. The discussion of structural racism is far-reaching. Some recognized it as a syllabus or canon issue. Others saw it as a more complex problem that implicated research methodology as well as faculty and student diversity. And others among us, influenced by recent scholarship in cultural studies, black studies, native studies, feminist, queer, and post-colonial studies, were realizing that modernism and humanism, 2 of the primary influences on our artistic and scholarly work, were inseparable from colonial, white supremacist, and heteronormative violence. A claim of structural racism can be perceived as an attack, particularly at a time when budget freezes and other departmental issues are critical. The claims of structural racism were not intended to compare our programs to any other, at UCD or elsewhere. Structural racism, by definition, is societal, is global, hegemonic, historic, and institutional. meaning it is structured as a network of institutions, of which UC Davis and the university are just one of many. The fear and anger of being called racist is not very generative and generally leads to defensive misunderstandings. Being called out for racism, whether as an individual or as an institution, tends towards a privatizing or personalizing of the racist incident, rather than using it as a window towards a more thorough understanding of the structures that produce racial inequity and unjust violence, structures in which we, you and I, are always and already implicated. Our program's possessive investment in whiteness is not going to change until all students, especially the white students, feel that the lack of critical race studies, the lack of theorists and artists of color in our course syllabi, negatively affects our knowledge production. Until we more fully integrate faculty of color and critical race and queer approaches to performance studies in our core classes, we have not started to embark on redress. And until we foreground questions of race, ethnicity, and post-colonialism into our curriculum, we cannot expect the program to be not racist. Thanks for listening. I want to say big thanks to the reading group team and thanks to those who carry this project forward. Each of us in the Unsettling Performance Reading Group might suggest different key texts among the 30 or 40 in our group bibliography. I'll conclude with my top 4 recommendations.